Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Flickr, Tumblr, suffice it to say, there is a flavor of social media for every interest. Tyler, where are your thoughts with social media, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and especially about this issue of its contribution to fake news?
Well, social media is one of the biggest drivers of fake news, especially because with social media, you get your news directly to your timeline. If you're on Twitter, you're scrolling through, you see what your friends are up to, but you're also getting whatever news story it is that your friends reposted. And Facebook is more specifically an even bigger driver of fake news than Twitter. I actually, we had very personal experience in this area with prolific fake news. Are any of you guys familiar with the name Cameron Harris at all? Well, I actually worked with him during David Vogt's 2016 primary campaign for the congressional seat in the Maryland 6th District, and I worked on David's social media team under Cam, and it turned out that throughout the 2016 presidential election, and no one thought that he would be capable of something like this, he started an entire fake news website that garnered millions and millions of views on his fake news stories. One of them in particular was a story about boxes and boxes of ballots pre-marked with Hillary Clinton found in a warehouse in Ohio. And that story itself got over 6 million, it reached over 6 million people on Facebook. And of course, that he was exposed by the New York Times. A lot of that's come out about his website and everything. And it's just been a really a sort of a black mark on the reputation of social media and fake news. And there's been a lot of effort to help fix that, specifically with what Zuckerberg's doing, trying to make Facebook a place where news is a bit more accessible if it's real news, but try to quiet down some of the fake news stories. But you're never really gonna completely get rid of fake news as long as there are people sitting.
Honestly, you shouldn't.
Keyboards.
The real black mark in this entire situation, and being somebody who's been in technology for almost 30 years now, the real black mark is on the naivete of the people who read these stories and believe them without fact-checking, without actually doing their homework and understanding. And the real issue that we have in the society is not the fact that these stories get around. As media evolves, as we have more access to being able to spread information around, whether fictitious or accurate, it falls upon the consumer of that information to be able to discern what is true and what is false. And we can make all the excuses in the world. We can blame Twitter, we can blame Facebook, we can blame Mark Zuckerberg, everybody else. No, the ultimate onus falls on the actual consumer of that data to make sure that they are actually informed, that they have some notion, whether it be informed or in depth or not, of what actually is going on, and be able to determine whether something is false or not. So, you know, you cannot curtail information from going out. It's a basic freedom it's a basic constitutional freedom. The First Amendment guarantees the freedom of speech. We can say whatever the heck we want to, in whatever form we want to, as long as we're not infringing on somebody else's rights.
And I completely agree with what you're saying there, but, and of course every single person needs to be able to discern what's real and what's fake. And there have been fake news stories come from extremely reputable outlets, so it's extremely difficult to do that. And the fact is, we were talking about in the last segment how people don't stay informed, and that's why with this housing complex that's been proposed, a lot of people had no idea. How can you expect those same people to go ahead and be able to discern in the mountain of information that we're receiving every single day, this is true, this is false, I'm not sure about this, I'm gonna go research that. The fact is people don't have all that time, and of course the First Amendment needs to protect that, but I think efforts from media companies like Facebook to within their platforms that they can control however they want to.
Don't you see Zuckerberg doing that? He's got 2 billion people a week that's on Facebook, 1.2 billion a day. And with that amount of people, the fake news that is on, there was a certain segment of the population that knew it was fake, that put it out. They still put it out. I saw some good fake news today, and you know somebody somewhere is generating it, and there is a base of people of a political party that continually put it out every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
But here's a question about that, and I actually agree with you. And this is not in any way, shape, or form to say I don't think the practice is egregious, but taking a constitutional view and protection of the freedom of speech, how do you, as a media outlet that is allowing public speech, curtail a particular form of speech, whether it's fictitious or false or anything else? How do you curtail that without infringing upon the rights of the people who are spreading that
but
information?
then what do you do about libel laws, and things, and how do we work this? Because it's totally new. I mean, we've always had propaganda. For God knows how long.
Forever.
That's what this is.
All you
It's
have to do is turn on
propaganda.
your TV and watch the commercials that come out
Yeah,
by
exactly.
one
Well, that's
party
all.
or the
This
other.
is basically advertising, and it's a very cheap way to do it, and it's a very easy way to do it, from anywhere in the world now. You can also convert people. Apparently it works really well for ISIS people and all of this, to whatever it is. But sooner or later, I mean, the law is going to have to catch up with some of this. You cannot simply put things that are egregiously not true on there repeatedly and suffer no consequences.
Now, you're very much into technology. Isn't there a way that Zuckerberg will figure it out how to filter some of that fake news out?
You can always filter it out. It will, however, have to be a broad brush that is applied, which means that you're going to have to filter multiple sides, meaning that you're not only filtering fake news coming from one source, but from all sources, or you filter any political news, or you filter anything that's not a reposting of, let's say, a reputable source like the New York Times or the Washington Post, and keeping in mind, of course, that those outlets have in the past reposted things that were fake news as well.
Yeah, but you got all these issues, even like younger people.
And maybe they'll pretend
Yeah,
like Fox
yeah.
News just doesn't exist because, well, they have a worse track record than others.
Yeah, but I think you have other issues, that relate to this. Young people being bullied online. Some end up committing suicide and all of this, and they try to bring cases. Now this is, online use of the medium that then has actual legal consequences here. So, I mean, the law, it takes a long time to catch up, and given our present system, at the moment, it's not working too well.
Taking a step back from the legal consequences of
Yeah.
it into what you were saying about what Zuckerberg's trying to do, I'm a conservative, and I was paying attention back, I guess it was about a year ago now, when there was a controversy about Facebook filtering out some conservative news stories from conservative sources, and there was a big uproar about that. He met with a bunch of prominent members of the conservative media, and I found that meeting, from what I saw from it, very reassuring that Zuckerberg is looking to do that, where he is painting with a broad brush and filtering out fake news from both sides, and he's not trying to shut down political discourse or shut down any one opinion. He's trying to just make sure on his platform, and you talk about how he says he's facilitating speech. The fact is, Facebook is a private company, and if they so chose, could shut down anything they wanted and make it only conservative views or only liberal views.
But at
me
which
ask
point
you-
they would lose their entire
Let me-
audience.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
let me
But-
ask-
and that's why I think he's being very careful to make sure that he does this in a way that is fair and is only trying to shut down the fake news.
I want to ask you a question. What's the difference of Zuckerberg and Fox News? Fox News can say anything they want. They can print anything, or they can interview the president and nobody else. Is he any different with Facebook than what Fox is with their news? We get one source of news from the president, that's through Fox. You get a source of news where Zuckerberg leaves his open to anybody. Is there a difference between the two?
Are you speaking legally or in
Legally,
in the
or
way that-
First Amendment, or anything?
First Amendment
Big
wise,
difference,
those
yeah.
organizations can theoretically do whatever they want with it. Obviously, Fox has somewhat of a conservative bent, and Zuckerberg's trying to prevent that from happening. If Zuckerberg wanted to make Facebook have a liberal bent or conservative bent, he could legally. That's the great part about the First Amendment. But like I said, I don't think that's what he's trying to do, and I don't think that's
No,
what
and I
he's
think
going
he's
to do.
he's being very fair in his approach to things. I actually would give Facebook and Zuckerberg more accolades than I would give to Fox News, because I think Fox News approaches everything with a certain lens or a certain perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you know, one
And
of
not
the
to bash
basic
Fox
things
News,
I agree
MSNBC
with.
and CNN do that too.
Yeah, I would agree with Colin, though. The basic issue is education. You know, and it's teaching people to think critically. You know, as my college professor said, one of them, who was very wise, you know, said, the only thing I'm teaching you here in college is where to find the answers, and the right and good answers. And see, this is where parents come in. This is part of parenting these days.
This
you
is
know,
where
because
public
you got
education
kids out
comes
there.
in.
What?
That thing that we're trying to do away with.
The what? Yeah.
Public education.
4 days a week, right?
Education, yeah. And there's a big issue here. I mean, you got young children on there seeing whatever, but then it's also filling their mind. There's just so much there to consume, and you can consume it all day long and miss the rest of your life, too.
Well, and there is, honestly, and I think you
Yeah.
bring up a good point, which is that, and this is something that we've talked about, and or more of us have said, we are still on the cusp of adapting to the level of information
Yes.
that we're receiving. I mean, certainly the three of us over on this side of the table remember when there was no internet.
There was none at all.
When you needed to look something up, you actually had to go to the library and go to the index card section.
Well, I was the TV
and
generation that
go to
you were
the-
2 stations on my television when I was a kid.
So we are, as a society, I don't think we are anywhere close to having adapted to really being able to consume and deal with the amount of information that we're being fed. And, you know, again, I'm going to go on a soapbox here, but combined with the fact that, and I think, and Ron, you may disagree with me or you may agree with me on this, I think that the reason that we won the Cold War is we figured out something that the Russians didn't figure out, which is we didn't have to figure out controlling people's thoughts. We had to figure out how to control how they think. And we did a very good job of that. We provided them with MTV. We provided them with all this mass media that force-fed complete, utter junk into the minds of people to replace actual information or an actual critical view of the world around them. And here we are.
Here we are, yeah. And then but it's a huge issue. And it is not just with young people, but I mean, they're especially vulnerable, you know, to this whole thing. And in terms of education, again, this is what, you know, I talk about this sometimes with my son. You know, I said, well, who put this up here? You know,
Well,
this
it's more than
information,
just
where'd
young
you
people,
read this?
though.
Who said this? It's
Because
like,
I mean, there's
someone's
plenty
ridiculous.
of people my own
Yeah.
age who, you know, we talk about the news, and we're obviously here talking about various issues. All they care about is the Super Bowl, whatever sitcom they happen to be into, and that's about the breadth and extent of their view of the world, which scares me.
Or something that affects them on a given day.
Right.
So many people have their
Without an actual perspective
yes,
of everything that's
but
going
all
on
once
behind
something
that.
hits them. You're getting ready to go to the beach. They go out, the car doesn't work. How did they get a car? Well, did you go out and work any this week or last week or the past 3 months to make money to be able to go? No. But they want somebody because this is my right to go to the beach, and they're 19 years old. So how do you work this out? Take us out. We got a little bit of time left. What, as a young person, do you want to see happen?
Not to put you on the spot.
As far
As how
social
we
media,
deal with fake news and we deal with all these different
And the privacy issues.
yeah, and the privacy.
I mean, these young people, they don't know what they're getting themselves in for. They're finding it out pretty in a rough way. And again, parenting, this is tough.
Yeah, well, a lot of it does have to come from parenting. Parents have to obviously wait until your child's a certain age before they have social media. My little sister does not have any social media at all, whereas I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the whole 9 yards. And you know, the parents have to be involved in saying, look, if you're gonna be interested in news, look at this. If you're going to post on Twitter or Snapchat or Facebook, make sure it's appropriate and make sure the information that you're putting out there is information that you want out there, as well as the information that you consume.
I
is
think you're
reputable.
getting the last word here on this one. We could go on quite a long time with this, but coming up next on the flip side, we'll look at some recent Supreme Court decisions. We hope you will stay tuned for those reports.